So here we go. We are next little step in the truck build. I am now back from Ireland. Had an amazing time. We've got a couple of videos coming from that. There's going to be, I'm going to split up into a few videos to make it a bit less, so it's not quite so much for me editing wise, but it's going to take me a little while to edit all that. Then we've got, so I'm going to split up into, we had a bit of a Wales trip to start with, and then we went over to Ireland to meet up with Dan and Nee from Fortman Equipment Ops Overland Protection Systems. So as you can see, we had an awesome time. Gave the truck a few little scrapes here and there. My plan all along has been to use the truck for what it's intended for. I'm not too worried about, you know, damage, a little bit of damage here and there. Obviously I'm trying to be a bit careful, but unfortunately the truck is very wide. So a lot of this was from our first day off-roading in Ireland. On the wheels, you can see they've all taken a bit of a beating, but that's what they're made for, so that's all good. Do a little inspection, damage inspection for you. So you can see there a few little marks on the bash plate underneath. Nothing too crazy, but you know, we made use of the truck. I think this side's took the biggest beating. You can see the wheels there, pretty scratched up. I haven't actually cleaned it. Yet, but you see they'll come up quite well. They're not as bad as they initially look. Just wet my finger there and show you. That will clean up, so they won't look quite as bad. But I'm just going to touch them up with a rattle can, just to make them look slightly less obtrusive. One I have noticed on the side steps here, took a nice, it shows how thick the Raptor coat is on the side steps. It's quite good actually. That must have took a hell of a hit to take that off. But they're all straight, they aren't bent, so we're all good. One thing that did happen, which not concerned me, but just made me think, oh, that's actually quite close. If you look under here, there's actually supposed to be a cover on this, which I've got here, which you can see took a little bit of a hit. It's only held on by two little clips, so that did come off. But it made me realise how susceptible this is to damage. So that brings us on to topic of today's video, so I saw these, I've seen these in Australia and stuff, there's companies making these, but there's a chap on Facebook who's just started making these, which are basically little covers for, so that there is a sensor which controls the suspension. So the adaptive suspension and everything that we've got, that is what controls it. That little module there you can see just to the back of that pivot. So this basically bolts up, sorry, other way around. So this bolts up on there and protects that module basically. So what I'll do, I'll put a link in the description. Initially he's made 30 sets of these, they're 50 quid a set. Stainless steel, powder coated, should hold up pretty well, but just gives us a little bit of protection for that piece up there. So I'm going to get these fitted. They're literally 2 bolts to fit them and bolt them on, so there's nothing too crazy to worry about. So I will get these bolted up and fitted and show you. I'll put a link in the description because I believe he's got them listed on eBay now as well. It's not a proper company or anything, it's sort of a bit of a sideline for him, but he has got plans to do some other sort of bits and pieces for the Raptor, which should be quite handy. And also I think he's got plans to make a slightly slimmer, more compact version of this in the future for version 2, which he's kindly offered to send me. I've paid for these out of my own money, so this isn't a sponsored ad or none of that rubbish that you see a lot of YouTubers doing. I bought these because I saw the need for them, and if you look, really nice thick plate, really substantial. So I have no qualms about how they're going to do the job. So I'll get them fitted and then give you a little update. So there we go, all bolted up. So you can see that on there now. That's really nice and solid. Just offers a little bit of protection to that module. You know, it's quite a sensitive bit of kit. And having knocked this off-roading, I realised that was a little bit more susceptible. So I thought, why not? When I saw them, I was like, oh, absolute no-brainer. Cheap. I mean, relatively cheap. 50 quid ain't cheap for everyone, but I think if you can afford 60k for a Raptor, 50 quid to protect the sensors, which no doubt from Ford are a couple of £100, if not more, if you damage them. It's a no-brainer. You see I've also refitted this plastic cover on here. Not really 100% sure what that does. I guess that just keeps dirt and stuff out of the pivot. So yeah, so there you go, all nice and easy, all fitted. Easy enough to fit. It's just 2 bolts. They do have nuts on the back though, so you have to have little fingers to get in behind just to hold the nut in place. The top one especially is quite tight to get your fingers in there, but little perseverance and you should have it. So there we go. You see underneath I brought home a bit of island with us over there on this other side there. If you want to zoom in, brought home a little bit of island with us. Always good fun. The one thing I will say about Ford for these on the new Raptors or on the new Rangers in general, they've really gone over the top with the black underneath. Into some people call it Schultz, Lanogard, whatever you want to call it. But they've gone really over the top with it this year. So whenever you do anything under the truck, your hands do end up absolutely black, which is not a bad thing. Previous generation Rangers have had quite an issue with rust on the chassis. I know they've just done quite a lot of replaced and recoated quite a lot of people's chassis for them under warranty. But these, ignore that bit up there, that's just dirt where I haven't cleaned it yet. Truck, I haven't even had a chance to clean the truck yet. But Tucked Valleys are coming around to do all that for me. You see, really good underneath. Barely, no major damage, no scrapes. So yeah, it's quite a good bit of kit. I'm really impressed. It was absolutely phenomenal off-road. Like I say, the only downside is it's quite wide, especially with these wheels on. Obviously they're a little bit wider than the standard ones. Standard ones probably wouldn't be so bad, but one track in particular, which you'll see in a video when I put it up, that was particularly tight in one spot. So we pretty much carved out the track a little bit wider for everyone else. So if anyone's going up that track in Ireland, you are welcome. But yeah, so nice, easy, quick fix. Highly recommend it. Can't see there being any issues with it. So as far as a review and a test goes, there's not really much you can test with these. It's a really thick stainless steel cover plate that is gonna help massively if I ever get in a situation where that's going to hit something or potentially be ripped off. Shouldn't do anyway because of this bar through the bottom here, but you never know. If you're sort of on an edge of a rock here, you drop down onto something, you know, I mean it's rare that would happen, but you get the odd stray rock that's poking up in just the right proportions. It could potentially hit. Like anything under there could potentially hit if you're in the wrong spot. But that's where having a bit of experience and knowledge comes in when you're off-roading. But yeah, you can see there the nice Fox rear shocks. So yeah, like I say, I'll put a link in the description to these on eBay. This isn't a sponsored ad or anything, but if you do want them, they're there. Yeah, you could argue possibly that you could make them cheaper yourself if you had the equipment. I have got the equipment to make these myself, but for the sake of 50 quid, much easier to buy a set myself from someone else and support someone else's business. So yeah, really good. I'll catch you later.